So now that you know how to solve one-step equations, we are going to move on to solving two-step equations. Very easy process. As long as you know how to solve a one-step equation, these will be very easy as well. So we're going to start with box A. So as we did with one-step equations, we are going to begin by drawing a border on my equal sign. This separates the left side of the equation from the right side of the equation. So whenever we have a two-step equation, we first find the variable, that's our letter, which is x. So in this question, we are trying to get this x by itself on this side of the equation. So to get x alone, there is a 5 in its way, and there's a 2 in its way. So the first step is always to undo the addition or subtraction. We're going to move the constant to the other side of the equation. So in this first example, this is a plus 5. So to get rid of it from the left, we need to subtract 5. If I subtract 5 from the left, it means I'm also going to subtract 5 from the right side of the equation. So now on the left, I have a 2x. 5 minus 5 is 0, so that makes that term go away. There is an equal sign in the middle, and on the right, it says 25 minus 5, which equals 20. So now our x is almost by itself, but there's this number, this coefficient is in its way. So we need to get rid of that number. So the left side says 2 times x. So as we did on the first page, to get x by itself, we need to divide by 2. If we divide by 2 on the left, we need to divide by 2 on the right. So now that leaves me with x equals 20 divided by 2 is the number 10. So now try the you do for letter A. In box A, go ahead and try the next question. Okay, so let's move on to box B. In box B, we have the exact same type of equation. We have a two-step equation with a single number on the right. So just as we did before, we are trying to get this x by itself. To get x by itself, we need to take the constant, the number, and move it to the other side. So in this example, to get x by itself, we begin by subtracting the number, which is 6. So I'm going to minus 6, and I'm going to minus 6. We did that because 6 minus 6 is 0, which means that term is now gone. So now on the left side, I have a negative 5x equals. On the right side, I have 20. 26 minus 6 equals 20. So just as we did on that first sheet, we now have a one-step equation. This says negative 5 times x equals 20. To undo this multiplication, we need to divide by the exact number that was attached to the x. So I'm going to divide the left by negative 5, and I'm going to divide the right by negative 5. When we do algebra, anything that happens to the left side also must happen to the right side of the equation of the border. So my final answer is negative 5 over negative 5 just leaves us with 1x equals 20 divided by negative 5 is the number negative 4. So now, using the same idea, go ahead and try the you do for part B. Okay, when you're ready, You can press pause and play throughout these videos if you need to. So in part C, we're doing the same idea. It's still a two-step equation. We still have an equal sign, which makes it an equation. And we have a letter that wants to be by itself. So our goal is to remove everything else to get this letter X by itself. So just as we did in the previous examples, we start by moving the constant, the number. If this is a plus 4, I'm going to undo addition by subtracting 4. If I subtract 4 on the left, I need to also subtract 4 on the right. 4 minus 4 is 0, making that term go away. So that leaves us with x over 3 equals 6. So don't let this scare you. Don't treat this like a fraction, make it seem more difficult. All this is saying is x divided by 3 equals 6. So as we did on the last worksheet, to undo division, the opposite or the inverse operation of division is multiplication. So I need to times 3. If I times 3 on the left, I need to also times 3 on the right. Multiplication and division will cancel each other out, leaving us with an x equals 6 times 3 is 18. So using that same type, go ahead and try the you do for part C. I will get you started. We have a border on our equal sign to separate our two sides. This is a minus 8. So to undo, we're going to add 8. The opposite of a minus 8 is a plus 8. Add 8 on the left. We need to also add 8 on the right. So now go ahead and continue the you do of part C and see what answer you would get for that one there. All right, so let's try the last box for solving two-step equations. So in part D, again, we still have an equal sign. So I'm going to draw a border on my equal sign. I have two pieces that are in the way of the x being by itself. So we're going to do 2 steps to get rid of the numbers that are in the way of the x being alone. So in this equation, just like before, we have a number, a constant, that we're going to move over to the other side first. That number is a minus 3. So the opposite of minus is plus 3. If I plus 3 on the left, I'm also going to plus 3 on the right. That leaves me with a negative x over 4 equals 5. Again, we want x by itself. This x has a negative and a 4 in its way of being alone on this side of the equation. So what we need to do, the opposite of division, the inverse of division, is multiplication. And then in its way, there's a negative sign and there's a 4. So I'm going to multiply the left times negative 4. And I'm going to multiply the right times negative 4. The negative will cancel out that negative, and the 4 will cancel out that 4. That leaves me with 1x equals 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. Go ahead and try the you do for part D.